Hey guys, Arm&Gun here. We got a classic for you today. This is part 4 of the video series on the Ruger Mini-14. Totally fine if you're jumping in right here. The previous versions were an introduction, which is just a brief overview, a shooting video, so if you want to see me shoot this thing, go check that out. And then we did a fairly detailed, but not too, basically it's just disassembling the gun and then reassembling it. I'm pretty specific in how everything goes back together. So if you really want a good overview of how the gun field strips and reassembles, go check that out. Otherwise, today's the main overview of the gun. So we're going to talk about a little bit of the history of Ruger, the company, how this gun was designed and how it came to be. We're going to discuss its operating system. We're going to go inside with the gun torn apart. I'm going to show you exactly how the system runs, explain what this fandangled device is for and what it's supposed to do. And then finally, we're going to jump back out and go through all the variants of this gun, because this gun has been around for like almost 50 years now, believe it or not. And that doesn't even include the previous time it's spent before as like, an M14 or an M1 Garand, which this design is obviously based off of. So anyways, we're going to go through the variants, discuss what they are, when they came into service. I've got one of those variants here, one of the less common ones, so we're going to drag that out. I'm going to show you that thing real quick because it's quite a bit different. It's a much more modernized, and I've got it in a pretty sweet stock. I would have teased this in the intro section if you would have seen the intro video as well. And then, as always, I have my bonus gun to show you guys. And I'm actually going to sneak in a bonus accessory this time as well. Nothing to do with this, but a super cool accessory that I saw at SHOT Show that I've been waiting for literally 3 years. It's finally out, finally shipping, and I just got my hands on one today. So I'm super pumped. I'm going to throw that in there as well. So anyways, without further ado, let's jump into this thing, the Ruger Mini-14. Classic A-team rifle. In this configuration, it's very similar to how the gun was often showed off in that video. I'm still looking for a stainless top cover and extended flash hider. If you know of any, please hit me up. I would love to get my hands on one of those. So anyways, Mini-14 came to life in 1973. That was when it was designed anyways, and it was a joint project between James Sullivan and William Ruger himself. So this actually happened shortly after Ruger became a publicly traded company, which was in 1969, 20 years after it was founded in 1949. Again, Ruger being a shortly post-war company, pretty cool. So anyways, 1973 rolls around, and the M1A or M14 at the time was still a service rifle, or well, I guess it was hotly contested service rifle, but they wanted to come up with a cheaper, more efficient design and downsize it. And apparently Sullivan was known for downsizing weapon systems. So they took the 308 M14, brought it into 223, and again, the original guns were 223 only. You didn't get 5.56 until later in the game. So they approached this, and a couple ways that they achieved that efficiency was going with a investment cast receiver, which investment casting, it's a super ancient, like lost wax type of casting. This is super detailed, but it's still a modern technique, and it's popular because it's accurate and repeatable. The results are repeatable, and it's good to use with a bunch of modern metal alloys. So they do that, and then they get some of the strength in the receiver by heat treating. So that's how they approached that. And then it employs, of course, a very similar operating system. It's a fixed piston self-cleaning system, which is the same as the M14, and of course M1 Garand or Garand. His name was actually Garand, pronounced Garand. Nonetheless, self-cleaning is a little bit misleading because it still gets dirty as heck under here, as I'll show you when I pull the gun apart. But it does get dirty in there, but it's a system that's going to be reliable. It doesn't get caked up, and it's not going to prevent it from operating. You're just still going to get carbon fouling in the area, which is a fair trade. So let's then talk about the main changes of this rifle when the main things happen. So 1973, the gun comes out in its initial configuration. Your receiver is going to be 180 is the serial number, is what it's going to start if you've got one of those first-gen guns. Mine is a 182. You can see up there, right in there, it's a 182. So my gun would have come along a little bit later. Likely it's a Gen 2. If you've got a 181 or later in the 1.8 series, you're a Gen 2. And the only difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2 was the simplification of the bolt open device and the addition of a manually actuated bolt hold open device. And that works simply by depressing this little plunger right here. Pull it back, press on the plunger. That actuates a little bolt catch system inside there, and that's going to hold your bolt back. The previous system just employed a last round bolt hold open system that was, you know, actuated by the follower in the mag. Apparently it was a little more complicated and prone to failure, so they upgraded that. Now things stayed pretty consistent until about 2003. 2003, these guns, well, they'd been known and kind of plagued by poor accuracy. Fun gun, American classic, reliable system, but just like roughly 4 or 5 MOA gun. And I'm pulling that as kind of hearsay. I mean, I haven't shot the gun myself, but I've seen other YouTubers, reputable ones, such as Military Arms Channel, run their ranch rifle and see results in the 4 to 5 MOA range. Now, in 2003, what Ruger did was they beefed up the barrel, because these had very skinny barrels, and they were known for just, you know, point of impact shift as the barrels heated up, and just not great system. Also, apparently the gas block imparted a decent amount of vibration into the barrel. So barrel vibrations are kind of referred to as barrel harmonics. So they redesigned the gas block to try and improve that as well, or at least modified it in some ways. And again, they beefed up the profile of the barrel too. A heavier profile barrel is usually stiffer and should maintain a bit better accuracy. All other things being considered. So that's 2003. There's a few other changes by 2007. Apparently they had a pretty beefy barrel, and at that point in time, they're expecting the guns were about a 2 MOA gun. Now again, same results from Military Arms. A few other conditions changed. He was running 300 blackout, not 223 or 556, but he was seeing high 2s for MOAs. And again, they claim 2 MOA. I'm sure if you had a good optic on there and you're really drilling down, dialing in your accuracy, just fine-tuning the ammo for the gun. These are right-hand twist 1 and 9 inch twist rate barrels. So 55 grain, 62 grain, those should both be good in that. But I'm sure if you dialed it in, you could probably maybe see something like 2 MOA. And again, those guns that were redesigned, those would be 580 serial numbers. Serial numbers starting with 580. So now let's bust this thing apart. We'll just jump to it, bust it apart. If you want to see the process, go check out my field strip video. Otherwise, we're just going to dive on in, and I'll explain the system, and then we'll jump back out. We'll go through the variants, including a random straight pull that was developed for the UK, all the way to the AC 556, which was a full auto version designed for law enforcement and the military. Pretty sweet. So we'll talk about those things, again, the bonus guns and the bonus accessory, and that'll be the video for today. So without further ado, let's get into this thing. Okay, so let's jump into the internals on this thing now. So here's your receiver, your barrel. You'll notice as a 181 series, 180 series, these all had really thin profile barrels, which were definitely known for poor accuracy and even degrading accuracy as they heated up, because they would tend to shift around. Now, one common, attempt to rectify this problem from the aftermarket community at the time was to add these things called an AccuStrut, which clips into the gas block and extends out with another rail below the barrel, clamps to the barrel, and that was supposed to help increase the barrel rigidity and therefore increase the accuracy and the less point of impact shift as it heated up. Though strengthening a barrel down here, this is conjecture, this is my opinion. I don't understand, from what I understand of structural steel and such, I don't understand how this does anything, because you're still unreinforced back here. The barrel's the same thin profile. I don't understand, unless it's connected all the way back to the receiver, I don't see what difference is, because this literally makes it all. Other than that, it adds weight, and it looks kind of cool, but I can't really say that it would do anything beyond that, in my opinion. We also can see here, this is a fixed piston, so gas is tapped off the barrel, and it just spits out right there. This is your operating rod with essentially an extension with a built-in charging handle, but that's essentially what this is, and that fits into that piston there, and it just blows straight back. And you can see that's why you get all this carbon fouling up on there, up on the bottom of the barrel, inside here, because that's where it's all venting. It's essentially a piston operated gas system, which helps keep the grossness and the fouling out of the action but this is where it all spits out right in there. So basically, this if this is hooked in, you know, you see when you're cycling your action, bullet comes out through this point, pressure builds up behind it, gas pressure's bled off, pushes this whole thing back, right? That through camming action unlocks the action, brings the barrel back, ejects the old round, and then picks up a new one, and that's the way this thing works. So you can see here, here's your bolt, and there's this big, huge kind of lug on the side of it, and that corresponds with this extension right here. It fits in here, and then as this cycles through, this is what unlocks the action, right? And then cycles it through and causes it to cycle in the action. So pretty slick, pretty slick. Again, this is a second generation receiver, so it has the bolt catch, which is integrated. Now, later on, I'll revisit the series again because I got a Mini-14 target, and the Mini-14 target actually has some changes. That's like a 583 series, which is the new generation of guns, and that's after the fact that they've done some accurizing, which, based on accuracy tests that I've seen from other YouTubers, you know, these were 4 to 5 MOA guns. The new 580 series were under 3 anyways, which is still good, definitely made an improvement, but the gun I have is a target model, which should really be the best of the best. It's got a heavy profile barrel, so we're going to rip that one apart at a later date, and we're going to check it out and just see how much different it is, and we'll take these out and shoot them side by side, and I'll actually get some accuracy reports for you on that as well. At any rate, let's show you a little bit how this bolt catch system here works. Basically, it's just contained behind this little flap, which is really easy to push out. Check out my field strip video if you want to see how I got to this point, and then of course how we put everything back together. But underneath this little flapper door, there's this little spring plunger, which corresponds with this little flapping piece as well. That little arm just ends up inside that little notch in there. And then as you push it, this flips up and down. Oops, and it fell out on me. I just want to show you the other side of how it looks like inside the receiver. So you can see back here, right now it's flush. And then when I push this button down, that pops up, and that's what catches the bolt. So the bolt goes back past that, this pops up, it retains it, and that's what actuates your bolt hold open. Now the Gen 1 gun still featured a last round bolt hold open, so that's cool. Even a little bit improved over the AK, which would have been another gun at the time. But it wasn't until the Gen 2 where you could manually actuate it without a mag in the gun. So that's it for, I think, our internals. Other than that, just this pistol grip, or sorry, not the pistol grip, the trigger pack here, looks very similar to a M14 action or even a Garand. So just cool to see that there. And one other key point I was going to mention was one reviewer that I saw on YouTube that broke his apart. He was advertising tips and tricks. He mentioned that whenever things are rotating, he typically uses oil. When things are sliding, he likes grease. And this action embodies a lot of, or utilizes a lot of sliding components. So inside here, definitely slides a lot. So you want to use a little bit of grease. He mentioned, especially in here as well, just with this camming action. But due to the fact that you get all this gas and carbon fouling centering down here on the bottom of the barrel and on the front of this op rod, he recommended maybe use grease very sparingly, or use a dry film lubricant that's not going to attract all that carbon fouling and just gum up and get super gross. So that's it for the internals. Let's jump back to the gun. And we're back, and we're going to go through all the different variants that this gun has appeared in over the last almost 50 years, about 48 years at this point. Starting off with the original, and then Mini-14, and then coming out with the Ranch rifle in 82, Gen 2. Of course, then we jump up to 1987. They released something called the Mini-30, which was a 30 cal version of this gun, chambered in 7.62 by 39. So that's your famed AK-47 round. And the reason for that was, at that point in time, 1987, there was boatloads of cheap surplus ammunition coming in, 7.62 by 39. So that was all coming in, available to the commercial market. So they and then having similar ballistics to a 30-30 Winchester made for a good deer hunting round. And Ruger jumped on the bandwagon and produced a nice semi-automatic sporting rifle to make use of that. So that was 1987. Next big shakeup was 2003 again with the overhaul of the system. With that, they produced a tactical model, 16 1/8 inch barrel with a flash suppressor. Now you're doing 223 and 5.56. They also added a 300 blackout round in 2015. And then for in between that, there was the whole Remington 6.8 SPC craze. So in 2007, Ruger made a Mini 6.8. That only lasted 5 years, was discontinued in 2012. And then way preceding all of this, back in kind of the Mini 30 days, 1988, UK, some crap went down in the UK, and they decided to ban their semi-automatics. So Ruger stepped up to the plate, designed a straight pull model. So that was made in 223, I think, for the market there. They got 223. They got the Mini 30 and 7.62 by 39, I believe, both the straight pull actions. So again, just no gas system. Just every time you want to run the gun, you'd be charging it and then bang, and then charging it and then bang. So that would be that. That's happened in other countries now more recently. I think New Zealand is looking at something similar, which sucks. I definitely feel for you guys, and fingers crossed they don't do something stupid like that in Canada as well. So anyways, those are the civilian models. Then we jump up to the very cool government models. There was, first off, the Mini-14 GB, which stood for GB standing for Government Bayonet. Again, that was side folding where the full wood had a threaded barrel, bayonet lug, which was attached to the barrel itself, not built into the gas block, and flash suppressor, that type of thing. So that was kind of neat. And then they also produced the AC556, which was the select fire model, including full auto and 3-round burst. I believe the selector was something like a Mini-14 or M14. They mentioned, I haven't seen any pictures, but they said it was in the back rear of the receivers where you made the designation for that selection. So those were available in a 13-inch and an 18-inch barrel, and they were available up until 1999. Those things, if you see them out, they're usually on Gunbroker. This thing would be so cool, I think. Like, that would be the true, A8 or 18 fantasy gun, would be the AC556. So we have that. I'm going to jump through the one other version I forgot to mention, which is actually the version I have here. That is in 2007, Ruger produced, again, really wanting to achieve this accuracy that just seemed to evade this platform. They produced the Mini-14 target rifle, which we have here. This featured a 22-inch cold hammer forged barrel, along with a harmonic tuner. So remember I was talking about the gas block, just the vibrations in the barrel as harmonics. Well, I'm understanding that that's just innate to most systems that don't feature free-floated, barrels, things like that. So anyways, that's off topic. But they developed this thing called a harmonic tuner, which is basically this cylindrical weight that you can decide where it goes on the barrel, and that's going to, it's called a harmonic dampener or a harmonic tuner, and it's meant to negate some of those vibrations in the barrel. So you can do load development, you can decide exactly, with this load, you can have it spaced out however you want to have it. There's locking set screws all the way around so you can lock it in place, and the idea is that you just get rid of those barrel vibrations. You can actually achieve some better accuracy of the system. Now they claimed 1 MOA gun. I don't know if that's true, but later this year we're going to approach this gun again in a Series 2. We're actually going to take this gun out, shoot it side by side with this one for some accuracy, and we'll see firsthand just what this platform is capable of. So this is actually in a Sage EBR stock, much like the M14s. They made a version for the Mini-14s as well. Actually, they're out there for the grand. You can actually get this stock system for an M1 grand. Crazy. But factory, these things come with either a laminate stock or a Hogue overmolded, kind of like rubberized stock. And then this also has a Hera Arms folding adapter arm as well. Pretty decked out. This Mini-14, I was gonna sell it, but then I haven't, and I still have it. I still enjoy it. Ergo grip on here, just all the good stuff. And I really have to see what this thing can do for accuracy. If this thing is an accurate gun, I'm just gonna have to keep it because it is cool to have the system lying around. And this gun, again, 223 only, apparently. Apparently, Ruger won't even warranty it if you run 5.56 through it. So, for whatever reason, maybe they did a really tight chamber, and they wanted to use 223 for that point, or that reasoning. That's all I can really think of there. But that's that. That's the Mini-14 by Ruger, the famed American classic. Now, let's bust out the bonus gun. This guy is another movie gun made famous by Terminator 2. This is a slightly kind of limited series made by Chiappa. They're a Italian shotgun manufacturer, though I believe most of their shotguns are made in Turkey, which is fine. There are a lot of great manufacturers in Turkey for shotguns. They seem to have the shotgun game down pretty solid. Again, due to local laws there, I believe civilians are limited to like smoothbore firearms if they're going to be semi-automatic. So they've got their smoothbore shotgun, semi-automatic shotgun game down really well. They produce some cool stuff out of there. But anyways, this is the T model, which was a blackened finish, rubberized grips. They also made a standard 1887 Mare's Leg shotgun. It's kind of got like a case hardened finish, walnut grips. Nice looking gun. I just went with this one for whatever reason. I kind of figured like with the movie kind of heritage, it might be more of a collectible someday. But it's a fun gun to shoot. I found it quite reliable. Norinco makes a knockoff version for those Canadians out there. A buddy of mine, mostly accurate, out in Newfoundland, runs one and has complained thoroughly about it, but has nonetheless, you know, beaten the crap out of it. And pretty cool. Pretty cool system. I definitely like it. Again, a gun I've considered selling a number of times just to free up funds at times, but it just hasn't happened, and I'm never upset when I pull this thing out of the safe. So anyways, that's the Chiappa T Model. I'll do a video series on this at some point, probably. And last and certainly not least, is the cool accessory that I saw at SHOT Show this year. This, if you live in any kind of banned state again that has mag limits, whether you're a state in the States, Canada, or United States or Europe, a lot of countries out there as well have 10-round mag limits. Brand new product by Crossmag, and they're really slick. They're basically got a couplering system where the mags just literally pop together, and they just click together like that. This one is in 5.56, and I guess they function 300 blackout really well. I'll be doing a lot of testing with them. They sent me some mags to play with, so that's what I'm doing. But I was super impressed. These like polymer mags, which you know you can argue against, but I think Magpul has proven that polymer is the way to go for durability. And I saw them dropped loaded mags on the SHOT Show floor, concrete, and they were just fine. Fully loaded, dropped feed lips down to the concrete, and fine. The other cool thing with these things is you can just flip the floor plate, but these things, even without doing that, they're 4 different conversions. So you've got kind of a vertical stack, you know, forward, backwards. You've got your straight on mags like this. It's kind of a curved, and then you can also swap the floor plate in them and get 2 other versions as well. So you can decide if you want, you know, you pull them out like this, pull it out, stick it back in, both with the curved or with the straight. It's pretty slick. That's all I'm going to say. That's it for today. Arm&Gun out.